Hi everyone, greetings from National Skills Network. We are continuing with our expert sessions on various skilling sectors, and today we have one of the most exciting sectors, which is all to do with creativity, communication, entertainment, media, and so on and so forth. And we are so fortunate to have with us today Mr. Chaitanya Chinchlikar, who's been one of the pioneering persons in this sector, creating a lot of awareness, doing a lot of advocacy, and helping us learn more about this emerging sector. Mr. Chaitanya Chinchlikar is the business head and vice president at Whistling Woods, and he's also into emerging media, an expert with a lot of experience from the industry as well as academia. And whenever I hear him speak or read whatever he writes, I feel he has such a good balance of industry and academia, which is so rare to find. So welcome to
Thank you.
this talk,
Thank you so much.
Chaitanya. Yeah, and the context for this talk, Chaitanya, is like I said, you were one of the panelists in a webinar which was hosted by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting about the AVGC sector, and you being a part of the task force, we from NSN, we thought, let us catch up with you and learn about the AVGC sector and the potential it has for skilling, for jobs, and so on and so forth. So let's get started by asking you about the way things are changing today. Like there was a time when we used to talk about India as the backbone of various things in animation graphics, like providing this support to Hollywood or such, film industry and others. But I think today we are our own content creators. We have a industry, our own indigenous industry. So how do you look at the complete scenario? We have OTT, we have so many YouTubers. Like, isn't it buzzing with activity, this sector?
So thank you so much for having me. Happy to help. So, I mean, what you're saying is right. There's within the animation, visual effects, gaming, and comic space. It's actually quite a diverse space, right? Just within these four topics, not to mention the Indian media and entertainment industry at large, which
Hmm.
has, filmed entertainment, both fiction as well as non-fiction, and a whole host of other uh, areas within the M&E industry. So, and I think what you were referring to when you spoke about the webinar was when I spoke about the codification of the media and entertainment industry and how you need to look at it as four kind of large buckets
Yeah.
of narrative arts, communication arts, creative arts, and performing arts. So, narrative arts includes all areas of filmmaking, so cinematography, direction, editing, producing, screenwriting, sound, production design, and visual effects, honestly. Then you look at communication art, which is advertising, journalism, events, PR, corporate communication, sports management, esports management. Then you have creative arts, which is animation, gaming, comics,
Hmm.
fashion, design, and performing arts, which is acting, music, dance, so on and so forth. So, if you look at the combination of AVGC, if you look at each of them separately, animation is a standalone industry where India plays both roles. We create a lot of content for ourselves for domestic consumption, and we do some amount of outsourcing work. Once upon a time, the outsourcing work that India did was like 70-80%, and most of the content on Indian screens, whether it was Indian television or Indian big screen, was imported content, which was either dubbed in local languages or it wasn't, right? It was kind of put out there straight in English or other languages. That percentage has gone down today. Today, almost 70 to 80% of content that you see on Indian screens is made domestically
Right.
by Indian animation studios. And that's a huge achievement for us over the last, say, 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
maybe more, maybe a little bit more. That's as far as the animation front goes, right? We have started to build out IPs. We have started to put our IPs out there, both for domestic and international consumption. Brands like Chota Bheem have been adapted as Mighty Little Bheem on Netflix and have gone on to become the number one preschool kid show on Netflix in a bite-sized 5 to 7 minute segment
Yeah.
content where Netflix otherwise does 40-minute segments. So that's also something that's quite unique. Within India, we've built quite a few animation brands and we continue to do so. If you look at the second one, the VFX, AVGC mein, so India is the VFX factory of the world.
Mm.
Um, I mean, you name the big film that, and it's not possible for between 25 to 75% of the VFX artists involved in the film
Yeah.
who are not Indian. Um, the the largest visual effects studio in the world is Indian owned and is located in multiple countries, including in India. That's DNEG. It is this year it won its seventh Oscar.
Yeah.
India has enough kind of quality of talent to fulfill all four parts of the VFX pipeline. So once upon a time, we were we used to do just the last two parts where we would do the post production and the finishing. But now we do a lot of pre-production and ideation as well. So in fact, we have the ability to do a full service to serve the entire visual effects pipeline, right from ideation to finishing within the country itself, without having to import any talent. When you look at gaming, again, India has a huge market and a significantly large game playing population. 1 in 4 Indians is a gamer. And that shows in the kind of work that's going on in both the larger and the smaller game studios across India, both in mobile gaming as well as PC gaming and console gaming as well.
Mhm.
Comics is something that once upon a time used to be like a big deal in India. We heralded comics, whether it's Amar Chitra Katha or Tinkle or Raj Comics or so many more.
Yeah.
These things, we're getting back to it now, slowly, slowly. If you look at Comic Con on a regular basis
Mm.
in Mumbai at least, and in other parts as well, you have quite a few stalls there of Indian original comic books that people are putting out and they're selling out. So we at Whistling Woods have a specialization within our animation program for comics as well. And we put out quite a few comics. And in the last 3 Comic Cons that we've done, they've all sold out before the third day has even reached midway. So we always kind of wonder whether how many we should print, and always end up printing less. So comics is a good thing. We've
Mm.
had alumni who've now had graphic novels published multiple times, and that's kind of a good area. So I think all these four areas are on the ascendance.
Mm.
I would say visual effects is the largest by any means, and then you would look at gaming, then you would look at comics, sorry, animation, and then comics. But yes, I mean, gaming as an industry is much, much larger than even the some of the other industries. So I mean, broadly, that's how I look at the AVGC sector and its role within the larger media and entertainment ecosystem.
Okay. So I'll come back to this, the constitution of the task force and the government identifying this as one of the core sectors in terms of skilling education, higher education, and, supporting entrepreneurship, enhancing employability and so many things. So how do you perceive this being one of the members of the task force? Is there something like a plan for you? Is there a roadmap? And also one of the points which you had discussed, or some of the panelists had discussed that day, was how do we tap into the potential of people who are coming from tier 2 cities, create more opportunities. So is this something which is there, which is likely to happen, and skilling in this space is going to be very important, is it, in the coming months and years?
Yeah, but and what you're saying all of it is true. I think the first thing, though, at the bedrock of all this is we have to stop looking at skilling as being different from career education, right? This separation of education and skilling is not a good idea,
Yeah.
because you need everybody, all the students, everybody who's part of this industry to be good at all of it, right?
Yeah.
Our industry is a combination of art, craft, technology, and commerce, and everybody needs to understand all of it. So
Mm.
every artist should be a technician, every technician should be an artist, and both of them should understand the business that they are in. And hence, you can't do it just with skills.
Mm.
There has to be full-fledged, well-rounded education, both in core as well as general education. You can't, you can't. I mean, you can't kind of narrow focus it, and that is really what we will, at least I want to talk about and make sure that happens within the task force. Um, See, you have to understand that in order for an industry to become a global leader in something, it's not just enough to create content in that. It's also very important to become an education powerhouse
Yeah.
in that, right? France and Italy would never have been global powerhouses in fashion and design, and just with the brands that they created. It was, they are as much a powerhouse globally for fashion and design because of their education,
Mm.
and that's what India has to look at delivering as well, right? That is what our goal should be. Our goal should be to become the destination of choice for everybody who wants to study animation, visual effects, gaming, and comics.
Yeah.
We are a growing industry. We're looking at employing tens of thousands of people over the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, and uh, while we have 1.4 billion people from whom to train that lot, it's important that we put ourselves out there and make sure that we do the education right.
Mm.
So it is a very flat industry, our industry. You have ideators, creative managers, managers, and executors. And because it's such a flat industry, even at the absolute bottom of the pyramid, which is the executors, which is the widest part of the pyramid, they still need to come in with a good sense of both creatives and tech.
Mm.
And hence, it's important for us to make sure that both education, training, as well as skilling is delivered to all of them.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's what we will be doing in the task force,
Yeah.
among other things.
Okay, I'm so glad you said skilling can't be on its own and it has to be combined with education. And I think that's what we from NSN have also been talking about in our forums, in our whatever we do, especially post NEP 2020, which is creating a lot of opportunities. For at the school level, college level, and so on, for innovative courses, and mainstreaming few things. And also, if we take this as the backdrop, how do you think we can, like, I'll just give you an example. Today, what we see is there is a potential for, let's say, somebody who's not trained in any of these, like say, maybe I have a good camera, so I start doing a video, maybe I do something on my own, I learn some software on my own. So there is this informal learning, right? People can go and learn things on their own and maybe create good animation and all that. But then at one point in time, we need to certify them, so that we show them a path. They are more like gig people who are doing contractual work and all that, right? So there is that aspect of the industry also. They learn on their own and also.
But
You see,
honestly, but that's not something that we should be looking at as a negative, or as something that's unique for us. It's the nature of the industry we are in. We're training professionals, right? Just like in the medical profession, you have doctors and you have nurses and you have everybody. They're all professionals in a way. They choose to go into employment, but by core nature, they are professionals.
yeah,
And that's what we have to make sure that everybody who studies AVGC understands, that by core nature, you are a professional, whether you are a roto artist or whether you are a creative director or a technical director. By
mm,
core nature of your what you studied, you are a professional. like a lawyer or a chartered accountant or a doctor or a nurse or a right. Now, if they choose to go into employment, that's a whole other ballgame.
Okay.
Once they have understood the fact that by core nature they are professionals, then you will start to see a more structured gig economy develop, where
Hmm.
people will actually take up 11-month or 2-year or 3-year specific work contracts, then take some time off, go and learn something, study something, go
Yeah.
back into the workforce at a at a different level, at a different vertical or at a higher level. I mean, the number of people who do say mocap
Hmm.
needs to go up eventually. And how is that going to happen if people who've been doing rigging and modeling and texturing don't go out there and learn how to do motion capture,
Yeah.
right? So that's how it works. If they live their entire life thinking that rotoscopy and rigging and modeling is all that they can do, they will never be able to upgrade themselves. So they have to think of themselves as professional,
Yeah.
even at the absolute executor level in the thing. They still have to think of themselves as professionals, and that is the most important thing to instill into the workforce.
Yeah, I was also asking you this because we look at the entire sector in terms of like not only this sector, we look at other industry sectors as well. I'm sure you are so aware of this common perception in India that we have. You complete education, then go into a job. Then it's like that's the end of all your learning, all your education. That's the common perception. But today we are talking about, like you very rightly gave a very good example from this sector, about how you continuously learn and you improve and, you carry on with your professional development. I think this is something which should be kind of adopted in other sectors as well, because this requires a totally different approach to work and learning, isn't it? Uh,
Yeah, it's not, you can't separate work
yeah,
and learning anymore, especially in
yes,
our industry, which is so dynamic.
yeah.
If you look at say the filmed entertainment world, and this is just an example I'm giving from there, 10
Mhm.
years ago, 12 years ago, one of the highest paid jobs on a per day basis in the filmed entertainment world was a helicam operator, somebody who could sit in a helicopter and shoot something,
Okay.
right? 12, about 10, 12 years ago. Today, that job doesn't exist
Yeah.
because drones have replaced it,
Yeah.
right? It's not like that job is lowly paid, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, if somebody had 10 years ago had thought that I'm going to be a helicam operator for the rest of my life, not possible,
Yeah.
right? So, that's how it will be, right? Today, there is a need for this huge workforce to do what is called, repetitive performance activities, RPIs, in in our industry. Very soon, AI will start to do those. What are you going to do then, right? So you have to look out for continuous growth opportunities for yourself. You have to and so which is why you can't separate education and work. Work is education, education is work.
Yeah, that's so true, and I think this is one of the unique things about this industry, where, like I said, I would like to repeat, most of us can learn from people from this industry, where they have to perform, learn, and go perform, learn, and the cycle goes on. So, with this, Chaitanya, we would also like to know, now that I also mentioned NEP, and there is a huge focus on creating awareness, I would say, or sensitizing children from a young age that there is scope to work. Okay, there are industry sectors, like for example, at the school level, they're going to introduce few things, maybe maybe something to do with animation or something to do with gaming. All these apparently are going to be a part of the curriculum in some way or the other. So how do you think this can be executed at a time when India is no more, like you said, content consumer, but content creators? We are all into a lot of content creation with new platforms and other things. So, what's your opinion about how vocationalization of education can contribute to this industry, looking at, let's say, the future, like maybe 10 years down the line or so? What kind of changes do you think should happen? I think right from the attitude onwards, I have a feeling the way we perceive things also might need to change.
If you look at how our academics has changed, even at the higher and technical level over, say, 40 years, once upon a time, everybody used to do BA after metric. And then they would figure out कि life में क्या करना है,
Yeah.
right? Now, what has happened is your career choices, or at least your broad families of what you want to do, have become closer and closer and closer to 12th standard.
Hmm.
Because of that, schools need to be better prepared for students to start to explore what their career choices are closer to 18, age 18.
Yeah.
So the spectrum of what you're taught in school also needs to expand, which is what the NEP really encourages,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That physics, chemistry, biology, maths is important. So it's part of the timetable and the subjects. But art and drama and sports is not important. तो उसको extra curriculum में डाल दो. ये नहीं चलेगा अभी.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's writing, whether it's art, whether it's theater, whether it's
Yeah.
performing arts,
Hmm.
filmmaking, whatever it is, all that is has to be part of the syllabus, has to be part of the timetable, and it has to be part of an official school curriculum,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Once that happens, then parents and students will start to look at these subjects as proper career programs,
Hmm.
right? So right now what happens is people look at doctor engineer. Okay, so where does this doctor engineer come from? It comes from the fact that the backward integration of medicine at the higher education level is a combination of biology and chemistry.
Hmm.
The backward integration of engineering at the higher and technical level is a combination of physics, chemistry, mathematics, computers, right? So if you've got future social study people who do history, geography, civics, literature, and then go on to that route, if you have future engineers who do physics, chemistry, maths, biology also, so in some cases for on that side, and go on to do that, then why would you not want future filmmakers and writers and directors and editors and animators and artists and dancers and designers to study media and entertainment related subjects at the high school
Hmm.
and make that as a bedrock of their going into the future,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
that is what everybody has to look at it as. It is not something new that has been thopoed upon us. It is the kind of education system that is absolutely mandatory. It's the kind of education system that ensures that the number of people who look at the creative arts and performing arts and film entertainment as a career overseas is so high
Hmm.
because they have all these subjects from grade 4 onwards.
Yeah.
That is mandatory, right?
Hmm.
So I mean, the world's largest, the USA's largest export is arms and defense equipment. America's second largest export is content,
Yeah.
right? Hollywood is the sharp end of the stick when it comes to selling not just its content, but also Americanism to the world, right? So through Hollywood and Hollywood's content, then you end up selling American brands to the world. When a brand like McDonald's opens in India, why is there a 1 kilometer line outside for people to go in when McDonald's serves horrible food?
Hmm.
Is because in the content that America has served to Indians and the world, McDonald's is portrayed as cool.
Yeah.
When a Dunkin' Donuts opens up, which is nothing but fried maida, there is huge line for people to get in, right? It's because it's served is being is being served to the people as cool.
Hmm.
So we need to do that as well. One of the reasons why yoga is so popular across the world is because we have aggressively gone out there and sold it
Yes.
at at the highest quality level. We
Hmm.
need to do that with everything. We need to do that with vada pav. We need to do that with meditation is another example that Indians have sold to the world very, very well,
Hmm.
right? Pranayam, which now is being called all fancy words like cardiac breathing and all that nonsense, is basically pranayam, is Indian, is part of yoga. So just like we have done that, we need to do that with our content as well. The only way you can do that with content is if you have a very, very solid academic bedrock. And the
Hmm.
only way you do that is by a well rounded, diversified high school and graduate education structure.
Hmm. Yeah. And also there is a provision for internships for school students now, but we still don't know how all these are going to be implemented.
Yeah, some
But
things
yes,
don't have to
yeah.
happen all the time everywhere. Uh, See, every everything that sounds kind of good and interesting for one industry doesn't necessarily mean that it will be for all industries,
All
right?
industries. Hmm.
Our industry, I mean, if somebody asks, what do we make? What do we build? Right? We don't make anything. We don't build anything. Our product is emotions.
Yeah.
If you look at the film and entertainment industry, we are selling emotions to the world and asking people for money,
Hmm.
basically. It's really, really hard. It's really, really difficult to do that. And students need to learn it the right way. If it means internship, good. But if it means that internships are not needed, then good. Then you shouldn't just force it on just because, you know, I don't know, management students are doing internships. So creative screenwriting students need to do internships too. No, they don't. Right. So you have to approach it on a case by case basis, program by program basis, course by course basis. Maybe the internships are about other things. Maybe the internships are about them seeing more of the world. Like
Yeah.
we have internships where which force, not force, but which encourage students to go and work with NGOs,
Hmm.
because that means that थोड़ी जिंदगी देखते हैं वो, they see life outside of their well glamorized and well managed life that they have lived, right? They need to go out of the cocoon and see the real world, and those are the things that we encourage, right?
Yeah.
And internships also teach students other things. They teach them concept of commitment. They teach them the concept of matlab, if you have to show up at 10 o'clock every day, you have to show up at 10 o'clock every day, no matter what you how much you partied the night before. You
Yeah.
can't not show up the next day because अरे नहीं नहीं बहुत party हुआ अरे. So internships are about a lot of these things. It's about professionalism. It's about commitment. It's about discipline. It's about those things as much as it is about
Technical.
uh, learning your subject and learning your craft,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's what we should really look at internships for. More, it teaches them life.
Yes, that's true, and exposes them to the world of work, as you said very rightly, and the challenges that you face when you interact with people there, right? So one of the things, which is very crucial for NSN to know from all our experts is what's your view or what's your advice to people who want to join this sector, who want to kind of learn. So what would be that, expert advice to all of them? Let's say somebody wants to pursue courses in any of these AVGC subsectors, or is looking for a job, or something which interests them in this sector. They are very curious. So what would you have to say to them?
It's, I mean, first I would say welcome to the industry. Second, I would say start to build out a better understanding for yourself when
Hmm.
you consume content. You're all consumers of content. Try to look beyond what you just see, right? If you want to be part of the industry, and this will come as a bit of a shock, you will not enjoy the content as much that you create, because you will soon develop a keen eye to figure out and analyze the content in a slightly more academic or industrious manner.
Mhm.
So you may need to see every film twice. You may need to see every animated episode twice. The first time, just enjoy it as a consumer. The second time, try and analyze what is good, what is bad. How a particular transition was done, how a particular cut was done from within, how a particular axis shift happened within animation or filmmaking as well. So start to build that keen eye for yourself. That's the first thing I would say, right? The second thing I would say is that don't run towards this industry or away from the industry based on other people's experiences.
Okay.
Just because somebody else had a great experience or a horrible experience doesn't mean you're going to have the same.
Right.
Everybody's got their own way of approaching this. Like I said, in our industry, in most cases, there are no right answers. There are
Mm.
only opinions, and there's only the process that you have to do. Everybody follows the same process to make a film. Some films turn out good, some films turn out bad. Everybody uses the same process to create characters. Some turn out good in animation, some turn out bad. Everybody does the same thing for cloth. In animation, some cloths fall extremely well, some don't. So don't experience it yourself, right? Don't go by what other people say. And the most important thing is, don't be afraid of saying I don't know, I want to learn, or of learning new things. Don't call ever never call yourself an expert. You are not. I am not an expert, honestly. I've spent about 15, 16 years now in the, yeah, a little under 20 years in the media and entertainment industry, and I am nowhere close to being an expert. So just these are the two, three things that I would look at. Obviously, I mean, there's the basic core thing of study hard and work hard, and all those things are there. But in your lifestyle, what kind of changes you would make? These are the kind of changes you should make.
Yeah. I think the power of observing, like you said, have a keen eye, observe, and self-analyze and do things. I guess that's very crucial for everybody who's entering the creative sectors. And is there anything else, Chaitanya, you want to share with our audience regarding this sector?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, stuff will keep happening, something new will keep coming up. So conversations will continue to happen.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, thank you so much. And we look forward to be in touch with you and keep learning from you. Thanks a lot.
Most welcome. Yeah, happy to be on the session.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.